In the grand scheme of the universe, there exists one concept that shines above all: a pilot. Pilots, first episodes of TV shows, typically have one goal: to sell the audience on the show's concepts, its characters, and its setting. If you like the first episode of something, more than likely you'd watch more, assuming you're not a weirdo. There's quite a few shows out there that I feel like have a perfect introduction. Some examples that come to mind are The Walking Dead, The Flash, and Batman Beyond. All three do an amazing job in establishing the premise, the characters, and the respective tones. But we're not talking about those today, we're talking about that funny-looking spider guy from Kids WB. You guys like The Wall Crawler, and I like Watch Time, so here we are. The Spectacular Spider-Man is regarded as one of the best animated shows ever produced for the character, and the last good one if I'm being honest. It's a high school Spider-Man story that follows the trials and tribulations of Peter Parker. We get the legacy characters, storylines taken from and inspired by the comics, iconography from the Raimi movies, and it's all tied together with such a talented voice cast. Josh Keaton is probably my favorite voice for the character, only barely beating out Yuri Lowenthal. Spectacular Spider-Man was peak, a show that will never be replicated, and it all started with one statement.
Tell me there's something better. Go ahead, try.
Those are the first words ever spoken by this Peter Parker, and it contextualizes where he is at this point in his life. We meet Peter at the start of his junior year. He's had his powers for at least a couple months now, and we get a look at his first day of school. There are so many moving parts in this episode. In exactly 23 minutes and 23 seconds, we get introduced to Peter Parker, his friends, and how he's broke, just like y'all. Mind you, all of this is done without showing the origin story. We also see reoccurring villains that will pop up throughout the show, and quite possibly one of the best theme songs ever composed. I mean, who let them cook like this? Theme songs are definitely a dying art. You'd be killed for making something this fire now. I like to think that every adaptation of Spider-Man is someone's first exposure to the character. If you grew up watching the Raimi movies, then that is your point of reference towards other adaptations. If you watched the 2017 cartoon, you probably wouldn't like Spider-Man. For the next however many minutes, we're going to be taking a look at the first episode and talk about why it works so well.
I'll get turned off.
The episode starts with a spider descending down a web, a clear allegory for my declining channel views. The first thing you'll probably notice is the more simple character design when compared to other animated Spider-Man shows. I remember at one point this wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but I've always really liked it. A simpler art style lends to more fluid animation and a lot more varied character design. Look at this cut of animation when Spider-Man is fighting the Enforcers. They didn't need to go that hard, but I'm glad they did.
Niggas don't want to fight.
You can look at most of the character silhouettes in the show and can almost immediately tell who they are based on the body shape and hairstyle. That's a sign of really striking character design. One of the main things I want to touch on is Peter's characterization here. This is one of the few adaptations that really nail down who Peter Parker is to his core. Peter is a nerd, yes, but there's also an edge to him. He has an ever-present chip on his shoulder. He'll sometimes be the butt of the joke, but also dish it back out, especially towards people like Flash Thompson. There's strong nuance there, and things just aren't so black and white with him. Peter is a weird kid who's possibly schizophrenic considering his monologues, but that has never stopped him from getting women. That's probably why some of y'all can't relate to him. I'm sorry, that was mean, I shouldn't have said that. I didn't even talk about his Spider-Man yet. Look, I'm gonna say something that some of you might not agree with, but as much as I love the Raimi movies, they definitely sometimes delve a bit too far into the idea of Spider-Man being a curse for Peter. Yeah, having a win for Spider-Man resulting in a loss for Peter is great. It brings stakes and consequences to the character and the story. However, at the same time, it is nice to see Peter genuinely have fun and enjoy the thrill of being the web slinger. There will always be hard times, but you can still find that silver lining to push you forward. The episode itself demonstrates that. Peter starts the episode trying to find a fix to his money problems. He gets an internship with Dr. Connors that will end up paying nothing. He attempts to tell Jonah that he can get him pictures of Spider-Man, only to get yelled at and sent away. Peter spends all night fighting Vulture and being attacked by the Enforcers and misses his curfew, which only leads to Aunt May being more worried about him. Overall, it's been a really crappy day for him, but he ends it off with sharing a heartfelt moment with her and a slice of pie.
Tell me there's something better. Go ahead. Try.
The final line of the episode is the line we started with. It's like poetry or something. The Spectacular Spider-Man is a really special show. With only 2 seasons, it's left a pretty good impact on the Spider-Man fandom. This show is something people unanimously agree on about being good, and it all started with a perfect pilot.